Mao Zedong is easily considered to be one of the most important men in Chinese history. He arose in the country is in the early to mid 20th century and was considered the father of communist China. He was also the founder of the People's Republic of China in 1949, which I will get to later, and was a principal Chinese Marxist theorist. He also led the cultural revolution as well as the Great Leap Forward, which did prove to be disastrous, but were great leaps of faith. He is easily one of the most important men in the country and in its history. Mao Zedong was originally born on December 26th of 1893. His original name was Mao Zedong, and his father's name was Mao Zedong, which would get changed later as soon as he started school. His father was Mao Zedong, and his father was a grain trader and owned a majority of land. Um, he was also born in Hunan, China, which was a province, and his mother and his father were both basically a peasant family, and they had only tiled 3 acres of land for several generations. Life was difficult for many Chinese citizens at the time, but Mao's family was better off than most. Um, he attended school as early as 8 years old, but he received very little education in this little province. So by age 13, he was working full time in the fields, growing increasingly restless and ambitious. He was at the age of 14, his father actually signed him an arranged marriage, but he was not very interested in the idea, so he turned it down and never accepted it. He left home at 17 to pursue a better life, and he went to he enrolled in the Hunan Normal Province School, which was in the capital of the Hunan province where he was born, and this was all taken during the Xinhua Revolution. The Xinhua Revolution was a time of fighting between a communist party and those that wanted freedom. Um, the Xinhua Revolution began against the monarchy, and Mao joined the Revolutionary Army as soon as he got out of school, and the Kuomintang, which was the Nationalist Party. This was led by the Chinese statesman Sun Yat-sen, and the Kuomintang actually overthrew the monarchy in 1912, and they founded the Republic of China. Mao Zedong was very interested in the political and cultural change that was sweeping the country, so he decided to leave school and take a chance in it. In 1918, he finally graduated from the Hunan First Normal School, and he also became a certified teacher there. But unfortunately, that same year his mother died, so he decided not to go back home. So he traveled to Beijing, but was unsuccessful in finding a job. But he finally found a position as a library assistant at Beijing University and even attended a few classes. At about this time, he heard about the successful Russian Revolution, which actually established the communist Soviet Union. So in 1921, and he was very interested in this, but for it to happen in China. So in 1921, he actually became one of the inaugural members of the Chinese Communist Party. Um, Mao Zedong had supported both the Kuomintang and the Communist Party, but over the next few years he adopted Leninist ideas and believed that appealing to the farming peasants was the key to establishing communism in Asia. He finally rose up through the ranks and became an executive in the Shanghai branch of the party. In 1925, the Chinese president Sun Yat-sen died, and his successor was Chiang Kai-shek, and he became the chairman of the Kuomintang. His ideas were very much different from the old president, that he was conservative and very traditional. He even broke the alliance and began a violent purge of communists, imprisoning and killing many. This upset Mao Zedong as it would, and he arranged an army of peasants to fight against the Kuomintang, but he was handily defeated. His Mao Zedong, as well as his army, now fled to the Jiangxi province in China. Mao there established the Soviet Republic of China in the mountainous area of the Jiangxi and was elected chairman of the small republic. He developed a small but strong army of guerrilla fighters. By 1934, there were more than 10 regions under the control of communists in this province, and Chiang Kai-shek was getting nervous about their success in the growing numbers. Small raids and attacks were outlying communist strongholds, and this had not discouraged them. Chiang reasoned it was time for a massive sweep to the region to limit the communist influence. In 1934, Chang amassed nearly 1 million government forces and surrounded the communist stronghold. Mao was starting to impending attack. After some intense arguing with other leaders who wanted to conduct a final salvo against the government forces, he convinced them that the retreat was a better tactic. For the next 12 months, more than 100,000 communists and their dependents trekked west and north in what became known as the Long March, across the Chinese mountains and the swampland to Yan'an. As word spread that the communists had escaped extermination by the Kuomintang, many young people migrated to Yan'an here with the help of the Long March. Mao now emerged as the top communist leader. In 1937, the Japanese Imperial Army invaded China, forcing Chiang Kai-shek to flee the capital in Nanking. Chiang's forces soon lost control of all the coastal regions, and he was forced to ask for help from the communists. Mao now established himself as the military leader, and with aid from Allied forces, helped fight the Japanese. In 1945, the Japanese was defeated, and on October 1st, 1949, Mao finally set up the People's Republic of China. Mao's reforms were very different from Chiang Kai-shek's. He instituted positive changes in China, including promoting the status of women, doubling the school population, and improving literacy, and increasing access and healthcare, which dramatically raised life expectancy. But Mao's reforms and support were less successful in the cities, and he sensed the discontent. Mao hoped for a wide range of useful ideas, expecting only mild criticism of his policies. Instead, he received a harsh rebuke and was shaken by the intense rejection by the urban intelligentsia. Fearing loss of control, he crushed any further dissent. Hundreds of thousands of Chinese were labeled rightists, and thousands were more imprisoned. In January of 1958, Mao Zedong launched the Great Leap Forward, attempting to increase agricultural and industrial production. The program established large agricultural communes with as many as 75,000 people working the fields. Each family received and shared profits, and Mao had set idealistic, some would say improbable, expectations for both the agricultural and industrial production. He also did not expect the terrible floods and bad harvests that would come out of this, so this whole Great Leap Forward was a total failure. His leadership was now being pushed to the sidelines, and he virtually fell out of the central focus of China. His little red book was actually being sold, and these copies were made from Mao and his little stories that he read and wrote. In 1966, Mao Zedong made his return and launched the Cultural Revolution. He appeared at a gathering at the Yangtze River, and the 7-year-old Mao swam for several minutes in the river looking fit and energetic. He actually yelled, "Look, I'm back!" And later his closest aides choreographed a series of public rallies involving thousands of young supporters. He calculated correctly that the young wouldn't remember much about the failure of the Great Leap Forward and his failure before that. In a classic autocratic method to gain control, Mao Zedong manufactured a crisis that only he could solve. Mao told his followers that elements in China were aiming to restore capitalism and declared these elements must be removed from society. Only he could do this. So, this crisis was not actually a crisis. In 1972, to further solidify his place in the Chinese history, Mao Zedong actually met with the United States President at the time, Richard Nixon, a gesture that eased tensions between the two countries and elevated Chinese prominence as a world player. During the meetings, it became apparent that Mao's health was deteriorating, and he actually finally died on September 18, 1976, at the age of 82. He died from Parkinson's disease. This was a huge loss to China, because he was the man that founded the People's Republic of China and made major reforms that made everyone much happier. Mao had a different legacy, and it depended who you would ask. If you asked basically a Chinese person, they would highly regard him and say that many of the reforms that he made were the right ones and the right decisions. If you were asked by the successors, all you would get was skepticism. Mao's reforms and his leadership was often criticized, but many times he was enjoyed. Overall, though, Mao's legacy was a very good one, and he helped shape Chinese history.